So we have the beginnings of our dashboard. So let's go over a few of the tools here. So the add elements, which we'll get to in a little bit, but this is the tab that you'll be working with primarily in this assignment. Here we have the view, and we'll have the body, and this is the text that or the map that we're using. Header, we haven't added a header yet, but we will add a header. A sidebar, for example, if you wanted to add some kind of text, you could edit the title, you could have a description in here, just type something, and title, we put that, and then we can say done, and here we'll have our sidebar. We can edit it with this button here, we can configure, or which would just take us back to this pane, or we can just click the delete button and we'll delete that since we're not going to be using that. Themes, this is where you can change if you wanted a dark layout, the borders, if you click on an element within the map, the color selection that's going to be. I'm just going to leave the default settings. Time and region is for where the map is located at, and the save button. So let's go and make our first chart, and let's click on the add element button, and you'll notice when you have the add element button we have these little square plus signs that kind of pop up in various areas as well as in the middle. This is where you will want to add your chart in this case. So for example, let's just add it here. And when we do this, we can either select sidebar, a map, a legend, pie chart, all these different types of elements we could add. We want to add a serial chart, and then it's going to ask us, well, which layer of the maps do we want to use to create this chart? And we're always going to stick with the Seattle residential building one. And so now what we want to do is we can use filters if we want to filter the data, if we want to change the layer that we're using. But for a category, let's click this, and we want to do housing units by year. So we're going to select the year final, and now we can see all the years that we have for data. We then want to know the total number of units that have been constructed. So we'll click this. And another thing to notice is when you're making a chart, you can only map things that are integers. Integer being a number, ABC is text or string, and that can't be mapped. So that's why we need to make sure we're only using integer values. So we'll say the net number of units, and we want to sum that up. So now we can hover over and we can see the number of units that we have. We can then go in, and if we wanted to, we could change it into a line or a column. We'll stick with column. General, we can change the background. But let's do something with, well, let's do something first with actions. So let's click on actions. And for the filter, we want to select residential building permits. And then if we do that, let's click done. We have our map. So if we click on here, we will only get the total number of housing units by the year. Or if we click out of the box, then we'll get all those. But let's go back and edit our chart. So let's give our values axis a title, and let's call this housing units. And so now we can see we have housing units there. Then we can go to general. We can change the text color. We can give it a title, and we can call it housing units by year. And then that popped up there. We can change the text color, the background color for that. Then let's go to, let's go to series. And under the series, we can change the color of our bars. So we can click on that and let's find I like that. That's a good, we can click on here and change our colors. I'll let you decide what colors you want to use. I'm a fan of blue, so we can use that. So now we have I think everything's good. We have our charts, shows you the year, the number of units that have been built. We can click done. And so now we have our chart. But we don't want our chart perhaps on the side. It also takes up a lot of the room. So we can kind of position this by grabbing that and we can drag it down there. So now we have our chart down here. We can also change this by how much of the area that it takes up. There. So now we have our first chart. Again, we can go and select those and then click out. And now we have the housing units. Let's go ahead and create another chart for council districts. So click there and then let's just click here and we will create another series chart. And again, we'll select Seattle Residential. And for here, let's do, as I said, council districts. So let's scroll down and find council districts. Notice it's an integer. Also, we notice we get a null value here with our data, and so we want to remove this. So let's do a filter, and we want it greater than, well, first we got to select the council districts because that's what we're going to be filtering on. And we want it greater than or equal to, let's enter a value of 1. And now we get rid of that. So now there are, if you look back in our Excel table, there are 7 different council districts. So the next thing we want to do is we want to go down to fields and we want to do new. Try past the new here. We want to do new units, so we just don't want a total. We just want just the number of new units, and we want to sum those units. And so now we have the number of units by council district. We can go to our categories, and then we can write council districts. And then under here we can put new housing units. Again, we can go down to series, can change our color. But we should go back. So select our blue. We should have added that saved so we can have the same color blue for each time if you want to change that. So that's our colors. So now let's give our chart a title. Click it, call it new council districts. So now we have that looks good. And then we can say done. So let's do this. So again, we don't want our charts here. We can do something called grouping of the charts. So if we click on this, we can drag this and we can put it on top of here and stack the items. So now we have stacked them. And so this is housing units by year. And this is housing units by council district. So we also, let's go here. Let's do a couple things first. Let's edit this. And we'll go to general. Now general, let's go series, and here's our color. And let's save that color because we got our colors a little bit backwards. So then we will do that. We can cancel since we didn't really make any changes to this. Let's go back to this chart. We can go and click on edit, series, and let's pick that color and say done. So now our charts are the same color. We can also highlight this, and we can copy that, and we'll give that our chart name. Hit enter, and then we can go to this chart, housing units by year. Can highlight that as well, edit that, click by year. So now we have our charts labeled. Again, we can click on there.